Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to explore the concept of smart and dumb component architecture. First, we'll see the definition of dumb component and we'll go through the example, one of the example I have created before, and then we'll go through the definition of smart component and we'll go through the example and we'll see how overall everything works, and then we'll see some of the benefits of using smart and dumb component architecture in Angular and also some of the drawbacks. First, if we see the definition of dumb component, a dumb component is a component that doesn't manage state. It does not have access to services, nor does it store data in the backend. The focus of the component is on the presentation. So, what does dumb component basically do? It basically takes an input, it shows it to the user. When the user uh, does some action like click a button or does something, it just emits and informs smart component something has happened here, and from that point smart component will manage the state. Dumb component won't do anything. Dumb component will only care about presentation, only care about UI, how it looks. That's all. If you see dumb component here if you see, this is a template of this component. uh, yeah, here it is taking an input and it is just displaying that input. It is just displaying, and once there is a button here, once the click happens, it will just emit. It will just emit whatever, depending on the application, whatever you want to emit, it will just emit it. And then based on this emit data, the smart component will take the necessary actions. So that is what it does, dumb component does. Next we'll go to smart component. Smart component is a component that is aware of application state and general logic. It connects different parts and combines multiple presentation components into bigger picture. So what does that mean? So we'll come here. So we are just here. If you see, this is just dumb component. It is just using dumb component. Here we are passing data. From where we are getting the data? The data we are getting from a service. Okay, smart component will call whatever necessary service and get the data and pass it to dumb component, and dumb component will present the data, and once the user take necessary actions, it will emit, and smart component will take the emitted thing and does the necessary actions. Can smart component can have multiple dumb components? Yes, we can connect two three we can use multiple dumb components here. I'm using the same code again, like this. This is the same dumb component I'm using again, but this can be different. This can be one dumb component, this can be separate dumb component. That is what smart and dumb components do. So if we try to see that in real time, I'll do NGSR. Now we are running this application. We'll go to UI. Yeah. So this is coming from dumb component. Okay, this is coming from dumb component. Why there are two? Because here we are using two. We are just reusing the same thing again and again. So here we are getting the data from a service. So this service, there is nothing, I'm just returning, it is not calling database or anything. It is calling this method. Smart component is calling that get data method. It is just getting the data, and this data it is passing it to dumb component, and this presentation is taken care data from data service. This is taken care by dumb component. If I click here, what happens? If we go to the code, if you see, it is logging something. Which component is logging? Smart component. Dumb component just emits hello from dumb component, and here we are just logging it. Here just I just hard coded it. Here we are just logging the event data. If I go to developer settings console, as you can see, hello from dumb component. So this is coming from dumb data is coming from dumb component, but the logging is happening in smart component. If you click here, we keep in here, it is keep on happening. So that is what smart and dumb component application. Now we'll see some of the benefits of smart and dumb components. With many intelligent components, it can be easier to break the code into smaller, more manageable modules. This can improve the maintainability and scalability of application. So it is easier to manage the application and also reusability. When there are many smart components for same functionality, this can allow code to be reused in different parts of the application. This can save time, reduce the amount of duplicate code and everything. everything. And when we'll come to drawbacks, it may increase the code complexity. When there are many smart components for same functionality, there can be unnecessary complexity in the code. This can make understanding the communication and integration of these components slower, because it is necessary to be aware of all the relationships, input, output, all the relationships in the code. So it can make the code little complex, and also it can make testing little difficult with many components. You may have to test everything individually, since there are many components, many smart components and dumb components. You may have to test each individually. See, with anything benefits and drawbacks, you need to keep in mind the balance. You shouldn't overdo it. Even with some design patterns and all, if you use design patterns just because you know it, you just increase the complexity. You have to use it whenever it is needed. That's all. Yeah, that's all for this video. Yeah, thank you. See you later.